Okay guys, unfortunately the fire alarm's going off, but I need to get this done, so I'm going to go through it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on the domain and range of these functions. For me, I'm going to graph them out. So we're going to use the same functions that we did in class yesterday, the same assignment. We're just going to list the domain and range. So for me, I'm going to do the inverse of sine first. The inverse of sine is going to be 0, 0, and then this is 1/2 pi over 6 1 is going to be at pi over 2, and then it's going to start repeating itself, so it's going to be this, and it's also going to be this. So I'm going to list the domain and range here for just this one. This isn't going to be the answer for this because I haven't done all this stuff to it. But my domain are all of my x's, which goes from -1 to 1. And my range are all of my y's, which goes from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So now I'm going to start making my changes. So I'm going to multiply by 2. So 0 times 2 is 0 plus 3. Oh, sorry. That should be a pi. Pi over, let's go pi over 3. So plus a pi over 3 is going to be right here. Pi over 6 times 2 is pi over 3. Plus pi over 3 is 2 pi over 3. So 2 pi over 3 is going to be right here. Pi over 2 times 2 is going to be pi. Plus pi over 3 is 5 pi over 3. Which is going to be right here. Do the same thing down here. So this is at negative pi over 6 times 2 is negative pi over 3. Plus pi over 3 is just 0. This is negative pi over 2 times 2 is negative pi. Plus pi over 3 is going to be 2 pi over 3. So I'm going to go to 2 pi over 3. Negative 2 pi over 3. My apologies. Negative 2 pi over 3, which is going to be right here. So my domain is going to be all of my x's, which didn't change. So -1 to 1. And my range is going to be all of my y's, which goes from negative 2 pi over 3 to 5 pi over 3. So that's really all that we're going to be doing today. You don't have to do the graph. You could do it, the other way to do it would be to make the table. And do all the change. The way that I would do it is I would go, we're going to go 0, pi, no, 0, 1/2, 1, negative 1/2, negative 1. And then our results would be, I shouldn't have done it in that order. I'm going to go from -1, negative 1/2, 0, 1/2, 1.
You may report to your 8th
Negative 1
report to your 8th period
is going to start at
Thank you.
negative pi over 2. Negative 1/2 is going to start at negative pi over 6. 0 is going to be at 0 pi. 1/2 is going to be at pi over 6, and that's going to be at pi over 2. Then we do our changes. So we're going to multiply by A, which is the amplitude, which is 2. So all of these times 2. And then we're going to add the D value, which is going to be plus pi over 3. So that's 3 negative 2 pi over 3. That's negative pi over 3 is 0. That's going to be pi over 3. That's going to be pi over 2 pi over 3. That's going to be 4 pi over 3. Oh, so I did this wrong. Should have been 4 pi over 3. So that should have been 4 pi over 3. My apologies, guys. Hopefully you caught that as I was doing the video. Okay, so this is going to show me where my domain goes from and to. This is going to show me where my range goes from and to. So you can do it with the table as well. Either one's fine. I prefer the graph personally.